and welcome to Good Morning Gold Coast. I'm Karleigh Pearson.
I'm Jade Madeley.
I'm Olivia Gordon.
And I'm Jacob Chicco.
Coming up on today's show, we take a look into why Australian mothers aren't reaching out during a time where they need the support. Also, how well do you recognise someone with autism? And how do you react towards them? Those stories and more are coming up on Good Morning Gold Coast.
Also this morning, we take a look at the upcoming Swell Festival and local rising star Gabrielle Kerr will join us in the studio for a live performance. Remember, you can get involved in the conversation from home by using the hashtag GoodMorningGC. Here's Olivia with the headlines.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see what's making news this Monday, the 10th of October. Alarming statistics reveal suicide as the leading cause of maternal death in Australia. Griffith University researchers are demanding more perinatal support for our mothers. Jade Madeley has the report.
In a time so crucial to a mother and her child's well-being, women are feeling alone and helpless. Currently, 15% of women experience depression or anxiety during pregnancy, and up to 20% develop postnatal depression after their baby is born.
We're simply failing women. If they were provided with the support they need around the time they have a baby, you wouldn't have 20% of women being depressed.
In the past 10 to 15 years, suicide has grown to become the largest category of cause for maternal death.
The high expectations that women have about what having a baby is going to be like or supposed to be like, and when that experience it does not, or that expectation doesn't meet reality, they often feel like they're the only ones who are having a hard time or finding it hard to cope, and they often feel ashamed or that they've failed, and don't feel comfortable to talk about what they're going through for fear that they might be judged by family, friends or health professionals. As a result of this, women are suffering alone.
The perinatal period extends from the beginning of birth up until a year after a child is born. Mother of two, Rani Farmer, knows firsthand the impact perinatal depression can have on a family.
It was probably something that in my mind I knew was happening, but under the weight of everything else, it wasn't anything that I could acknowledge at the time.
For Rani, day-to-day life was a struggle.
And just broken on the inside, and I would cry, and my husband would get home and I would just hand our babe over and just say, I can't do this anymore. I was exhausted from pretending that everything was okay.
As a form of self-therapy, Rani created an anonymous blog.
I actually started blogging about my experience after a while, and that's when it finally started to make sense that, what I had went a lot deeper. You need to be able to access information that makes sense to you. And that's what I couldn't find at the time, and I'm just thankful that there's women in the world that have found my blog and have felt like, oh, thank goodness, someone understands.
Like Rani, many mothers don't receive the support they need because the fear of stigmatisation deters them from speaking out. And in majority of the cases, support simply stops once a mother gives birth.
I think one of the problems is that women are very well supported in pregnancy and around the time of birth, and probably for a short time afterwards. But I think after the first 4 or 6 weeks, then contact with the health system becomes much less.
Professor Jennifer Gamble is conducting leading research to ensure women are receiving specific and individual support during the perinatal period.
The research we do looks at how providing women with a known midwife, a caseload midwife, all the way through her pregnancy, that same midwife for her labour and birth, and that same midwife for at least 6 weeks after the birth.
Caseload midwifery is a relationship-based initiative designed to provide tailored care.
Some women may need more. Well, give them more, meet their needs. We really need to reorientate the way we deliver maternity services. This model I'm talking about now has evidence throughout the world that really supports it. This model, caseload midwifery, forms bedrock of the National Maternity Services Plan, but it is still not readily available to childbearing women, and that's what we need to change.
The message to all mothers and families is the same.
You're not alone, because I really felt alone, and I know a lot of other mums feel desperately alone when they're like this. And I really urge them to just reach out.
Jade Madeley, reporting for Good Morning Gold Coast.
I've found that not many people are comfortable to speak about this issue, and it's really concerning because mothers are feeling alone, and it's important to speak about this.
I think you're right, Jade. The social stigma surrounding this issue is huge. It really should be spoken about, and it's really sad that mothers and other people feel silenced just for fear of offending other mothers.
That's what makes Rani so brave. She was able to speak out and even created the blog that helped women all over the world. I mean, 30,000 hits, that's amazing.
You're definitely right, Olivia. It really just goes to show how many people are affected by this issue. It's much larger than we think. And if you ever need support, don't hesitate to contact PANDA, the National Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Helpline, on 1300 726 306.
Now to a story about an inspiring young Gold Coast man living with autism who is turning his architect dreams into a reality. Big dreams for a little soul. 21-year-old Benjamin Hawkins has been offered the opportunity of a lifetime to study architecture at Griffith University.
I'm so passionate about meeting the demands, the growing demand of the population.
For Ben and his family, it hasn't been an easy journey. Ben was diagnosed with autism at 2 years old. His mother, Robin Hawkins, didn't think he would even be able to talk.
It was as though sometimes he was the only one in the room, like we would call his name and he wouldn't look up. He didn't seem to understand anything that we told him.
Social worker Sue Trembath says there are many strategies available that help people living with autism.
A range of other treatments and options, and people should research them all and select the one that best suits their child.
For Ben, he needed applied behaviour analysis therapy, which wasn't available in Australia at the time. Desperate to provide a service for her son and many Australian families, Robin launched Arundel's Little Souls in 2007.
We have a variety of different therapies here. We tend to look at the child and what their individual needs are.
Robin's proud example of success is Ben. Having completed mainstream schooling, he went on to TAFE to study a diploma in building design.
To be honest, he's one of the most positive people I know. He doesn't, other people complain about things that would just be a drop in the ocean for Ben, like he wouldn't even, so I think he's incredibly positive and I think he's incredibly brave and I admire him.
Ben says he's ready to take on the world, but there's just one thing he wants you to know.
Tell all these other people, give me a chance to prove them wrong. Sometimes the reactions can be quite negative. It is very hurtful.
1 in 100 Australians will be affected by autism, and while that number is high, it remains a condition widely misunderstood.
I think there's a general lack of understanding of the condition and the whole spectrum of conditions, and therefore people their needs might be misunderstood or judgments might be made about their capacity without looking at each person as an individual and the impact of the condition for them specifically.
Another challenge the Hawkins face is funding the centre.
The only government funding we get at the moment is the inclusion support subsidy, which is spread amongst all the children. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is coming in, but the Gold Coast is pretty much the last area in Australia to receive it.
With the fees costing over $55,000 per child a year, the centre tries to help families by subsidising their fees, but it really comes down to the fundraising.
They pay quite high fees because of the one-on-one intensity.
Little Souls campaign manager Peter Wotherspoon has organised an exciting fundraiser that millions of Aussies will tune into on November the 1st.
It's a Melbourne Cup luncheon being held at the Parkwood International Golf Club.
If you would like to join in on the action, head to littlesoulsgc.com. Furthermore, if your child is showing symptoms of autism spectrum disorder, head to your GP or contact Little Souls on 5563 1490. Olivia Gordon, Good Morning Gold Coast.
Olivia, I think lack of public awareness on the issue is really disheartening, but it's great to see that Ben hasn't been deterred from achieving his goals.
You're right. I mean, he's an absolute inspiration, not only to his family, but also to the children at Little Souls who are also experiencing the same situations as what he does. It is really disheartening to see that there are a lot of people who don't understand people who are living with autism, but if we can get more people to understand these things and what they do, talk about it, yeah, exactly. I think we'll come a really long way.
Definitely right, Olivia. And on Melbourne Cup Day, there will be a huge fundraiser, so head to the website for tickets and more information. It'll be a great event and it raises money for such a deserving cause.
Thanks, Karleigh. I'll definitely be heading down to the fundraiser. And if your child is showing symptoms of autism, head to your GP or contact Little Souls on 5563 1490.
We're going to go to a break, but stick around, we'll see you soon. Coming up next, we meet Tiffany, the pink property pooch, and we'll take a look at what's been happening in local sport. Also, an exclusive interview with singer-songwriter Catherine Gunther. You're watching Good Morning Gold Coast.
Welcome back to Good Morning Gold Coast. This next story gives a whole new meaning to taking your dog to work. Tiffany, the pink property pooch, is selling houses all over Queensland. Karleigh Pearson has the story.
Tiffany, the pink property pooch, is definitely not camera shy. The 5-year-old Shih Tzu spends her days selling homes alongside her owner, real estate agent Tracy.
Tiffany's our dog model.
She features in property ads, dressed up in costumes that suit the style of the house to let potential tenants and buyers know the houses are pet friendly. Over the last 3 years, Tiffany's list to sell ratio is 100%. The duo teamed up when Tracy was looking for a property herself and found it extremely difficult to find a pet-friendly home. She was knocked back several times by landlords just because she had a dog.
And I thought, well, if I'm finding it difficult, the average person must be finding it extra difficult.
Her real estate department is now encouraging landlords to make their properties pet-friendly.
They're not just an animal that sits outside now. They're part of the family. People are having dogs over children.
By offering them a chance to charge owners extra rent or a pet bond. This will ensure fewer animals are dumped at animal shelters when their owners are desperate to find a place to live. Newlyweds Ryan and Kelly McPhee are also having a tough time trying to find a pet-friendly property on the Gold Coast. After over a year of looking, the fed-up couple say it's time for landlords to rethink their unfair rules.
Because people aren't going to want to, take their dogs to shelters and, pretty much get rid of their dog, give away their dog, just to be able to go and live somewhere. We keep on trying to find a place. No way I'm going to leave her behind.
Although landlord Monique Lambert is a dog lover herself, she says she will never allow someone with pets to move in ever again after her 3-bedroom cottage was completely destroyed by tenants who had 2 dogs, 2 cats, a snake and a wild bird.
At the end of their stay, the cat even had kittens that then effectively got fleas that actually put fleas all through our home. The smell of the house was horrendous. You could actually smell it 20 metres away on the road, walking into the property.
According to Monique, the pest control said it was the worst they had ever seen, and that when the tenants move out, the house would be condemned. The repairs to the house cost Monique thousands.
We had to completely strip the house bare, which means repainting to get rid of the stench. The carpets had to replace, even the tiles we had to replace because of the stains and the smell. We could not rid it from our beautiful cottage.
Karleigh Pearson, Good Morning GC News.
Karleigh, I think this is such a fun and clever way of advertising that all-important pet-friendly aspect that so many people are looking for when renting and buying.
You're right, Jade, and over the last decade, the pet culture has changed so much. I mean, people call their animals their fur babies and are choosing to have pets over kids these days. Landlords should really take this into consideration when they deny someone just because they have pets. I mean, what do you guys think? Would you allow someone with pets to move into your property?
I definitely think it needs to be taken case by case, but in majority of the cases, I do think pet owners can be trusted and they shouldn't be rejected purely because they have a pet.
Landlords should really consider allowing people to move in with pets to take the pressure off families who can't find anywhere to live. However, it is such a shame that some people will abuse their pet-friendly rights and leave homes like Monique's in such a horrible condition.
Let us know what you think on Twitter. Now to Jacob, what's new in sport?
Well, Karleigh, making news in sport today, an appeal has been sensationally launched by Jamie Wincup's Holden team in the wake of Will Davison's controversial Bathurst 1000 triumph at Mount Panorama. Wincup's Red Bull racing team were fuming after the four-time champion crossed the line first in the 161-lap classic, but had already copped a post-race time penalty, relegating him to 11th place on the timesheets. Meanwhile, Australian tennis ace Nick Kyrgios has silenced critics after he clinched the Japan Open with a 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 victory against rising Belgian star David Goffin. But to today's most exciting sports story, Surfers Paradise Apollo Football Club has caught the attention of football coaches, players and fans nationwide with their incredible run to the Australian FFA Cup Round of 32.
Jubilation. Surfers Paradise Apollo have earned the respect of football supporters in Queensland that their performances have deserved. On every other occasion in their 38-year history, they have faced off against local teams in the Gold Coast Premier League. However, this season in the Australian-wide Football Federation Australia Cup, they faced off against and defeated not one but three National Premier League teams to earn a spot and feature in the final 32. And head coach David Benigno is over the moon.
For me to achieve that is, only being my second year in top flight has probably been, one of the highlights in the last 9 years of my coaching.
With victories against NPL sides Gold Coast City, Sunshine Coast Fire and Southwest Queensland Thunder, they were drawn against Canberra Olympic in the round of 32. A victory meant a potential clash with an A-League team, but they came up short, narrowly losing 1-0.
It was a game that I thought we had the best of the possession for the game and, just opportunities moving forward, maybe not as many as them, but enough to equalise.
The Australian FFA Cup has only been around for 2 years and it features teams from local and semi-professional leagues as well as all Hyundai A-League teams. Surfers Paradise's efforts in the Cup competition have put Gold Coast on the national football map yet again.
It was great promotion for football on the Gold Coast in general. I suppose it signified to Australia that there's more to the Gold Coast than simply sun, surf and sand.
Coach Benigno is receiving much of the praise for his side's efforts, and that's something he brings down to hard work and commitment over the years.
As a player and then coming on as a coach in the last 10-12 years, the enormity of it, it's not been seen in our league as yet.
And while Surfers' league form has seen them out of the title race, there are still smiles following their cup run.
Disappointed, we didn't win, but it was, as I said earlier, a massive achievement. So, we've got a beautiful flag that you can't buy that sits above the trophy cabinet that says that, we've made the final 32 in Australia, and that's something that no club has achieved yet.
Jacob Chicco on Good Morning Gold Coast.
Simply remarkable what they've done. Surfers have definitely earned their respect that their performances deserve, and no one could have predicted this.
You're right, Jacob, and what I find most incredible about this is that they defeated not one but three NPL teams to get this far. And the National Premier League is one division below the Hyundai A-League, so it's no easy feat.
And by doing this, they've really just proved that they were good enough to have made it that far in the competition.
Look, the loss against Canberra Olympic would have been hard to swallow, but the achievement was still phenomenal.
Now we'll go to Stephanie to see what's been happening in local entertainment.
Thanks, Jade. Catherine Gunther is an up-and-coming local musician studying a Bachelor of Popular Music at Griffith University. I sat down with her earlier to talk about her latest single, Lazy Sunday Morning.
I've been really busy over the last couple of months writing a whole heap of new songs, getting ready to record an album later next year.
Yeah, cool. And so this features Lazy Sunday Morning, your newest single, right?
Yeah, will definitely be on the album.
How's uni been going? Like, are you loving your Bachelor of Popular Music?
Yeah, it's a fantastic degree. I'm in my second year now and getting ready to graduate next year, which will be amazing. And it's taught me a lot of life skills for the industry, whether it's recording, songwriting, how to handle business, a lot of very valuable things, and it's been an amazing opportunity. I'm actually going on tour this spring to Sydney and in Queensland, and first gig is in Toowoomba on the 22nd of September. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It's another lazy Sunday morning. Got nowhere to go.
30 locals have been selected alongside renowned international artists to display their work in the upcoming Swell Sculpture Festival. The festival will boast everything from giant animals to interactive artworks. Eloise Wilson has this story.
On a day like today, Currumbin Beach is itself a work of art, but will soon be providing a picture-perfect backdrop for the upcoming annual Swell Festival.
We're all going to be exhibiting in the outdoors, and all of the works will be on the beach or along the ocean walkway.
Local artist Dion Parker says his sculpture will be quite biting.
It's a sculpture of a large red dog with one leg cocked, so he's going to be weeing on something.
His work was inspired by his dog Cypress, but has a deeper meaning.
I tried to break down the notion that we all want to leave our mark somehow.
The festival will begin on the 9th of September. Eloise Wilson, Gold Coast News.
So much local talent here on the Gold Coast, and I'm really looking forward to that festival.
Me too, Karleigh. It looks like it'll be an amazing event, and I'm definitely going to head to Catherine's next gig.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those dates will be on our website. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
Coming up next, spring has sprung. Eloise has our local weather. And stick around because before the show ends, we have a live studio performance from another amazing local musician, Gabrielle Kerr. This is Good Morning Gold Coast.
Welcome back to the show. Today's looking like a beautiful day on the Gold Coast. Let's go to Eloise to hear more about the weather.
Thanks, Jade. Well, today is proving why we call it the Gold Coast. It's an absolutely stunning day outside and definitely starting to feel that spring warmth. Let's move along the coastline now, starting at Main Beach. We are expecting to see tops of 24 with mostly sunny conditions with a few clouds expected to pass through. In Surfers Paradise and Broad Beach, it will be slightly cooler with tops of 23 forecasted, warming up at Mermaid Beach with tops of 23 degrees expected around midday. Nobby's Beach should reach 23 degrees and may get down to 14 later tonight. Burleigh is anticipating the same with slightly warmer lows of 15 expected. Things are heating up in Palm Beach and Currumbin, where 24 is the likely top and 16 is the coolest we should expect to see. Now down to the southern end in Tugun and Kirra, we will expect tops of 23 with mostly sunny conditions. Coolangatta will be slightly cooler, and finally in the Tweed there will be a few more clouds hanging about, which will keep the humidity. We should reach tops of 23, but it will feel more like 26. And check this out, our lovely viewer Jasper sent in this stunning photo of the sunrise from Burleigh Beach. How's that, guys?
Such a stunning sunrise. Thanks, Eloise. That's all for today's show. Join us tomorrow from 6 a.m.
Thanks for watching Good Morning Gold Coast. And don't forget, you can keep updated with all of today's stories by following the hashtag GoodMorningGC.
We'll leave you with a special performance live in the studio. She's a Gold Coast singer-songwriter on her way to global success.
Here to perform her hit Mud Sticks, give it up for Gabrielle Kerr.
Why to let you in, open the door, I'm not sure.